Hi, good afternoon.
My point about this is, I always make this point to you, as you know. You want to be a trans woman, say, and you want me to call you she, her, or they, or whatever you want. I'll do it. Whatever makes you happy. You've got the right to make this life choice. But if you were not such a wonderful person as me, you might choose to call Melissa Poulton, the trans woman Green candidate in this debate, a bloke in a wig. Surely you should have the right to be able to say that. And yet Rachel Maclean is being treated as if she's some sort of super criminal. She's being reported to the police. Now, I'm happy to, I will call Melissa a woman. If I don't want to, I want to say that is a bloke in a wig, why can't I do it?
Well, I don't even know how to begin, really, Kevin. I mean, why would anyone call that man a woman?
Right.
It's preposterous.
It is.
And it doesn't afford, like, we can talk about, I mean, you say if you're a nice person. I think if you have courage...
I'm exaggerating on that point, by the way.
So I've heard. But if you want to speak truthfully, and I think right now, in 2023, moving on to 2024 in the UK, the truth is so lacking, and conviction is so lacking, and courage is so lacking that you become kind of a hero just for actually saying it. He really is. I mean, he's not just a man in a wig. He's a man in a bad wig. And he's a man that stood as a Conservative, tried to be a Conservative MP or something a couple of years ago. And now he's switched to Green. Apparently, he can just choose to call himself something. I think his own family have decided to have nothing to do with him. And good for them. I don't blame them at all. But when it comes to the Conservatives, look, I was banned from the Conservative Party Women. I went for a lunch quite some time ago to celebrate their centenary. And I was banned because I asked Maria Miller, actually, who's the Minister for Women, what a woman was. And the women there in the Conservative Women's Party, they banned me because I asked the difficult questions. And I basically said that these men aren't women. So it's nice that the Conservative Party are finally catching up with the electorate, but I have to say they're late to the party, and most of us are full up on our cheese and pineapple by now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I don't go along with the game of pronouns because I think language matters, and being called a woman is not a fancy dress you can put on at the weekend and suddenly think that you're a woman. It's quite serious stuff. But talking about the Conservative Party, Kemi Badenoch was having a right old ding-dong in her committee on the subject of trans and young people getting hormone blockers and the like. Now you've got Rachel Maclean. There are certain Conservative women who are putting their head above the parapet, if you will. They've licked their fingers, stuck it up in the air and gone, oh, look, this is the direction of travel for public opinion. But the problem is the Conservative Party are the party who introduced gender self-ID.
Yeah, it's all a bit late, isn't it? And look, I'm glad they're doing it. And I think that women like myself have paved the way for women in positions of power to actually speak. And really, they should have been leading the way. They should have been talking about this a long time ago. They have governed whilst the schools have been captured, the police, the NHS, all our public institutions have fallen for the cult. So, look, I'm glad that they've finally joined and they're making the right noises. None of them are really making enough noise for me. And when it comes to even Kemi, she's wonderful in that terrible grilling that she was receiving yesterday. And she just showed up, Caroline Noakes, one for the blokes. She just showed all of those women who were sort of grilling her that actually integrity is really important. And then she just gave it away a little bit when she said, the people committing crimes are harming transgender people. And she just used all this language that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. As far as I'm concerned, a man pretending to be a man pretending to be a woman is exactly the same as a man pretending to be a woman. It doesn't really make any difference to me. There is no such thing as somebody born a male who then can become a woman. So I just hope that the direction of travel is great. I think by the time the election comes, maybe they would have got it right, but then they're going to lose to Labour anyway. So all hope is lost.
I mean, sort of going over the same ground, really, but, I feel sort of intellectually insulted. I'm not exactly the world's greatest intellectual, but put it this way. I feel insulted that I'm supposed to look at Melissa Poulton and say that is a woman. I'll accept that is a trans woman, but it is not a woman. And remember Penny Mordaunt standing up in the House of Commons and saying, a trans woman is a woman. And that still seems to be the line that we're supposed to adhere to. We have to move on from this madness, being told to gather around an obvious, almost comical lie that Melissa Poulton is a woman.
Yeah, but for me, Kevin, it's a comical lie whether or not that person genuinely has some sort of integrity and innermost feelings that they are a woman, or whether they're like Melissa Poulton, who we can all point at and snigger and say, well, you know, there's clearly that man doesn't think he's a woman at all. His identity as a woman is sincere as anybody else's. As far as I'm concerned, he is afforded the same respect and right to call himself a woman as anybody who says, I've been really a woman. I've been living as a woman for the last 5 years. And look at me. Sometimes I do the washing up. You know, it's all nonsense. And I think, look, in his private life, he can do what he likes. Everybody can. We are free citizens, supposedly, in this country, although probably not. But anyone can do what they like when it comes to their private life. But it's the state getting involved in this. It's people being recognized as a lie, you know, a man being legally recognized as a woman. That is the foundation stone upon which all of this stuff has come. And so it just needs, look, it's none of the government's business whether or not a man puts a dress on and forces us to call anything. It ceases to be a liberal society if you are forced to go along with somebody else's identity and lie. We've never done that in this country. I'm an atheist. I don't expect the state to come along and say, you must believe in God. And as far as I'm concerned, it's exactly the same thing. So it just all needs to come out of institutions, and then we can all sort of go along with it or not, and it doesn't really matter. But at the moment, when you can report an MP to the police for saying that that's a man in a wig, I think we're in really, really dire straits.